You got a little handout coming to you from Reverend Warren and Charlie, which I forgot about, so beginning of meditation, but that's all right. It's just a blank piece of paper, but you'll need it. So the title of my message today is A Month of Giving. And if there was a blank after that, I didn't want to give it away before today, but if it said, if we had that statement there, a month of giving blank, what would you fill in? Huh? A month of giving gratitude.
Thanksgiving.
Thanks, love. Yeah. Okay. So it is a month of giving blank, whatever it is that you feel like giving. And the word is Thanksgiving, and this is a holiday that we attribute to food and feasting, don't we? And we attribute it to the Pilgrims and the Native Americans or / Indians, depending on who you're talking to, how they want to be called. But from our grade school days, you might remember some of these interesting little facts. And maybe not. Maybe you weren't taught this. But in 1621, the Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag Indians shared an autumn harvest that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. As President of the United States, George Washington proclaimed the first nationwide Thanksgiving celebration in America, marking November 26, 1789, over 100 years later, as a day, and this is in quotes, as a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many favors of Almighty God. And it wasn't until 1863, in the midst of the Civil War, that President Abraham Lincoln actually proclaimed Thanksgiving Day a national holiday to be held every November. And this month here at Unity, we celebrate Thanksgiving as a month of giving thanks and gratitude of love for the people and pets and many things in our lives that we get to experience in abundance. And today we're going to explore this very idea of giving thanks, of giving gratitude, but we're going to begin with our statements of truth together, please. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. Now, I don't know about you, but over and over again, I've always thought of the word Thanksgiving as giving thanks and gratitude, just like we had stated at the beginning. You know, I've even explored those gratitude workshops or ideas to where you write down your gratitude for 7 days or for 21 days. I've even done the 30 days of gratitude. And you know what happened after I did those? I forgot about what I was doing except for my 2 standard times of giving thanks. And those are in the morning when I wake up, I give thanks for a great night's sleep and all the blessings I'm about to receive this day. And at night when I go to sleep, I say thank you, God, for all of the activities, all the people in my life that I experienced, all the things that I know were blessings in my life. I always say thank you to God for those things. Now, you know, I'm a human being, so sometimes I forget those times to say thank you. And when I do, it's like I have this urgency in my soul to stop and say thank you. You know, thank you, God, for everything in my life. And when I do that, it like opens up a new awareness. So why am I not doing this, you know, throughout the whole day, all day long? You know, it's one of those things that we have to kind of train ourselves, I guess, or rethink our day and the activities in it to begin with thank you, or to end with thank you. But it kind of takes us back to that idea of where am I going with this? You know, we all know we're supposed to give thanks. We all know we're supposed to have gratitude. And that's exactly what we do. And yet, the word is thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. What is it that we are thanking and giving away today? Changes it a little bit, doesn't it? Because you see, the Pilgrims, I think, kind of got us started on this, and the Indians, they started us with this idea of thanks and giving because they were reaping the harvest that they had amongst them. And they got together and they thanked what they had and they gave it to each other. And yet, we get into this idea of Thanksgiving always being about giving thanks. The opposite way that the word is written. Giving thanks instead of thanking something and giving. Which I feel like changes the whole thing. So what are we thanking and giving? I ask you that question again. So this is where your little piece of paper is going to come into play. So if you need something to write on, get your hymnal in front of you or behind you, and grab you a pen down there, because we're going to take a little self-evaluation quiz. And I call this the Thanksgiving quiz. And there's going to be 7 questions, and some of them have A, B, and C parts too, so leave yourself a little room. So the first question I ask you today is, hold on. What is your most important possession? Oh, wait, when you answer these, just let the first thing come into your head, okay? Don't think it too hard. What is your most important possession, and not a person, okay? So what is your most important possession? Yeah. Well, people always, they do. They put people. True. But this is the deal about that is, for me, when I thought about this question, and I made up these questions, so, you know, I gave myself the quiz as I was doing it, because it was like the Spirit of God coming through me, giving me this quiz. And the first thing that came to my mind was this dresser I have in the bedroom. And Warren's probably going, oh yeah, I know which one. But it's, you know, triple wide with a mirror, and it's like a Broyhill, and it's solid as a rock, and I bought it in 19... Huh? Does it have to be material? No, it doesn't have to be material. It's whatever pops into your head. But for me, that's what popped into my head, this dresser. And it weighs 2 tons. I mean, it's like, even with the drawers out, it's like a lug to move. And every time we've moved, Warren says, you need to get rid of this thing. And I never have. And for some reason, that thing popped into my head. But you know what? I thought about it. Why did that pop into my head as the first thing that was my most important possession of everything? Come on, a dresser? But then I thought about it, and I said, you know, that was the first piece of furniture, brand new furniture, that I ever bought with my own money, and that I was so proud of. And I thought, maybe that's why it seems important to me. Maybe that's why I wrote it down. Which leads us to the next question. Have you taken time to thank this possession for being in your life? And when I thought about my dresser for this example, I thought, have I thanked the dresser for being in my life? And I thought, well, I guess I have, because I've never wanted to get rid of it. I've always treasured it. I've cleaned it off every other week when I clean house and dust it and try to keep it looking nice. And I keep my drawers organized. So, yeah, I guess I am grateful that it holds all my things, that it is there for me when I need it, and it keeps my stuff organized. Maybe that's what it's about. Question number 3. Are you willing to give that possession away? Now, that was a tough one for me. But I wasn't. And I'm still not. I know. But it says, too, part A says, if so, if you can really give it away, can you give it to a stranger? And I thought about that, and I said, you know, I probably could give it to a stranger easier than I could one of my friends, because I wouldn't want to go over to my friend's house and sit and think, why did I give that away? You know, we get those thoughts. You know, we're giving something to somebody, and yet we're going, oh, why did I give that? I should have kept that. We get in that kind of stingy mode, don't we? But if we aren't willing to give it away, why aren't we? Why aren't we? Which leads us to question number 4. If you are not willing to give it away, what is stopping you? Is it a feeling, an emotion? Maybe it's a promise you made to yourself or someone else. What is stopping you? What is that roadblock you have in the way of giving it away? How's everybody doing? Can I go to the next one? All right. So the next one has several parts to it too. But what thoughts, feelings, or emotions are you feeling right now? Is it a loss? Is it fear? Is it possessiveness or selfishness? Or maybe you were one of those people that said, yes, I could give it away, and I'm feeling gratitude and joy to be able to release whatever it is into the universe. For me, I think I was feeling all those first ones, loss, fear, possessiveness, or selfishness. I didn't think I was being possessive about the dresser, but I thought, well, I am if I'm not willing to give it away. I am if I'm just sitting there thinking that that dresser has to be in my life for the rest of my life. I mean, we're talking about a dresser. And I don't know what you're talking about yet, but I'm sure I'll find out before this day is over. So question number 6, if you would have never received that possession, would you long for it now? And I have to say, no, I would never long for it now. Because, you know, if I never had done that, it wouldn't have been a monumental thing in my life. I wouldn't be, you know, taking it all around the country with me, making everybody carry that heavy lug of furniture. But if I still was longing for that, why was I longing for it? Why would I still want that thing or possession or whatever? If no, then you're ready to give it away. And I thought to myself about the dresser. You know, I wasn't willing to give it away in the beginning when I asked those questions, but after I thought about it, I thought, if it was never in my life, would I be willing to give it away? And I thought, yeah, I would be. Because it wouldn't be a big thing anymore, would it? It wouldn't be in my own mind as something valuable and important. Not valuable and important to anybody else, just to me. And number 7 kind of leads us there, because once we decide that we can let go of it, you know, and give it away, then we're not putting any power into that thing or that possession, are we? When we say we can give it away, we are freely receiving that gift, and we can freely give that gift. And that puts us back into that idea of thanks and giving. And number 7 says, this is the point where you can say thank you to that thing and give it away with gratitude in your heart for the giving. Not for the idea that you received it or that I've had it in my life for 40 years almost. You know, not for that. But no, for the idea that I can give for the sake of giving, which is a whole different thing. It can change it all, because it's in that spirit of giving, not in what you're going to receive. You see, once we give it to someone else, it is no longer ours. It belongs to someone else. And in that moment, we receive the blessing. Do you understand that? It's not in how they use it or appreciate it. Heck, they might give it away the very same day you give it to them. And you have no right to think anything about that, because you have released it. You have given it out to the universe as something you have willingly gave to somebody. And it puts us in that place of freely giving. Do you understand the difference that I'm talking about here? The difference of giving to be giving and versus the idea of giving to receive, which is what we learn a lot in those gratitude journals and those gratitude programs. The more you thank something, the more you're going to receive. The more you thank something, the more you're going to get. It's not even about that. It's about giving for the fact of giving. And it's a blessing in itself. You see, we have to be willing to live without it all, in order to truly live for it all. Does that make sense? Yes, it's powerful. And if we can live our life not clinging, holding on to the things in our lives that we think are important, then we can open ourselves up to receive the joy and the gratitude and all the abundance of the universe from God. Fillmore gives us this from the book Keep a True Lent. The thought behind a gift is the real measure of its value and efficiency. Jesus illustrated this when he called the attention of his disciples to the poor widow who cast 2 mites into the treasury, which was large in her estimation because it represented all of her living. It is what we think about our gift that gives it spiritual value, not the stamp on the coin. And this holds true for those things that you wrote on that list. What value are we giving it? And are we giving it a spiritual value? Are we making it so important in our lives that we can't give it away? And then Fillmore goes on to say this. This is illustrated, and this kind of goes along with the Irish thing, but this is Scottish, the Irish thing the other day. This is illustrated by the story about the careless Scot who tossed a crown thinking it a penny into the collection plate, and when he saw his mistake, asked to have it back. But the deacon refused. Remember that, Charlie. The deacon refused, and the Scot grunted, oh well, I'll get credit for it in heaven. And what did the deacon say? Nay, you'll get credit for the penny you thought you threw in there. That's right. Because it's easy to forget that God is our supply of all things. We have times during the day that we give thanksgiving, and perhaps we say a blessing or grace before a meal. Most of us do that. We pray before we eat. And we probably acknowledge the supreme giver of all good when we receive money, don't we? I hope so. Even if it's your paycheck, you should be thanking it. And maybe some of these acts of giving you do some of the time, and maybe some of them you do none of the time. But either way, it's the intention behind the giving. The intention behind the giving that makes that whether or not you are really giving from that grateful heart. You see, if we don't have the right intention, then we're not truly giving, are we? We're not giving to be giving. We're giving because we think we're going to receive something, or we give because, oh, they're going to think I'm cool if I give them that. Or whatever it is that oh, if I give that to them, that will mean I'm sorry for all the other stuff I did. People do that with their kids all the time. Oh, I didn't let my kid do this, so I'm going to go buy them a toy, and that'll make it okay. No, that isn't the idea of forgiving or giving or being in gratitude. And we do it when we do things like if we begrudgingly pay our bills. If we pull out the bills and we go, oh, God, I have to pay that today. If we pay any kind of debt, whether it's the parking amount at the parking garage, the $7 you have to pay. If you're saying, oh, God, I can't believe I have to pay for parking. Even that, you're putting the wrong attitude, the wrong spin on the whole idea of the attitude of gratitude, that intention behind the giving. Do we begrudgingly give our tithe or gift on Sunday? I hope not, because I'll tell you what I want you to do if you do that. If you think, oh, I don't have any money to give on Sunday, then don't do it. And I'm saying this for real. Don't give your money if you don't think you have it to give, or that you think it's a have to do in your life. Because the intention behind the giving has to be that of gratitude, has to be that from the place of giving to be giving, or else it's not any good. We were taught that from Jesus. We were taught that from God. The blessings that we have in abundance here on this earth. And I'll tell you, don't even pay your bills and don't pay any debts if you have a bad attitude. If you do not have that attitude of gratitude, don't pay any of them. And why? What are you going to do then? Well, I say hire somebody to do it. Because if you can't pay them from a place of being grateful for the things in your life and the idea that you have money to pay those bills today, then you need to hire somebody, some neutral person that will pay your bills for you, and you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to give any energy to it or power to it. Because once we start giving that negative power away, guess what? It affects me, it affects you, and you, and you, and everybody else, and all the people out on the street, and all the people in the world. If you are giving begrudgingly, no matter what it is, because you're setting that consciousness out into the universe that's going to switch everything and the way people think. And we don't want to go there, do we? No, we want to be grateful. We want to be filled with gratitude, and we want the abundance of God to be in our lives. So we have to be willing to give for the sake of giving. If we live from lack, guess what we're going to receive? Lack. Yes. If we think giving thanks increases what we receive, which is what we've been taught, and believe me, I've stood up here and taught that thing before, that's only partly true, though. It's only partly true if we are giving thanks and thinking that we're going to receive something. Because if we can't receive, because what we receive, we must be willing to let go of. Whether it be things or people in our lives. Now, that little quiz you just took, think about those same questions for any person in your life that you think is the most valuable person in your world. And think about those questions. Or perhaps it's somebody that is no longer in your life. And think about those questions. Because you see, even the people in our lives, we have to be willing to thank them and then give them their freedom to be who they are. Because if we can't do that, then we are not truly being grateful for them in our lives, are we? We're not truly lifting ourselves up and them up in the gratitude of God. And you know what? Some of those people that we meet along the way that we think are so important in our lives, and it could be anyone from our children, which pops into my head sometimes, to somebody that you just knew that met at the grocery store or whatever. If you're not willing to just look at those people as being able to give thanks for them in your life and let go of them and let them be who they are, then you're cutting yourself off from the good of God. You are building the biggest wall, the biggest break in your flow of consciousness. And you're doing that for everyone else too. Because the minute we have somebody in our lives that we love, that we truly are grateful for, if we can't let them be free to be who they are, then we are hindering them and us. We're changing our own consciousness to not being from that place of gratitude for them being in our lives. And they might show up from time to time, and they might not. You might have to get the photo album out and say, oh, I remember when he used to do that, or he was so cute in that picture. And bring back those memories that brought you that joy in your heart, that you can give gratitude from. But we have to give thanks for the time we did have for them and enjoy that as a gift. See that as the light of God in our souls, bringing us those places of gratitude. Because if we are hanging on to a person, even if they've made their transition, because that's a tough one. I've heard this from people before. You know, I can't move on because I still think about my mother, or I think about my father, or I think about my sister or my brother. But we have to be willing to let that go too. And just remember the memories that bring us that gratitude in our heart, that bring that warmth to our souls. That's where we have to live from. But if we get stuck in those places, we can go back and do that Thanksgiving quiz on anybody or anything in our lives and get to that place where we can release it and change our perspective. And that's the whole goal. Fillmore says, words which express thanks, gratitude, and praise release energy of the mind and soul. Isn't that beautiful? Energy of the mind and soul. Yes. Their use is usually followed by effects so pronounced that they are quickly identified with the words that provoke them. And he says, let your words of praise and thanksgiving be of spirit. That idea of giving to be giving. The increase will be even greater than when they are addressed to man. The resources of spirit are beyond our highest flights of imagination. You can praise a weak body into strength, a fearful heart into peace and trust, shattered nerves into poise and power. You see, our goal this holiday season is to heal our hearts, trust beyond fear, and live thanking God and giving all that we can willingly. All that we can willingly. Give it, knowing that this is going to open the gates of the unlimited abundance of our originating source, God. The highest good is here for us with each and every day when we approach it with thanks and giving. Thank you for being here today. God bless you. use those thoughts right now. Because I'm going to go ahead and, I guess the word we use sometimes is piggyback, a little bit deeper even. I want to share a song with you this morning that's always meant a lot to me. Because it reminds us to be thankful for and to express gratitude for even the tiniest things, the sunshine in the morning. And believe it or not, that the birds still dance.